Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Boruto Manga chapter review. This one's going to be for chapter 18, which is called Hand. I think given the way the chapter plays out, the fact that it's called Hand is a little weird that they decided to make that connection. Like, it's a kind of cool moment where they reveal like what the connection is, but it's a bit like, that feels like a bit of a stretch what you're going for there. That said, overall, I think it's an okay chapter. I didn't think it was brilliant, but there's some good points to it. Again, I think the main problems are just that the monthly format continues to just not be particularly good, and then the pacing on some things, just where they choose to use the page count on important stuff versus like, oh, here's this other stuff that you maybe don't want to see. That said, what's really good here, I suppose the initial thing, is that they get to the kind of research laboratory and immediately we are introduced to Sumire from the anime, which is a really cool little thing that, like, she kind of became one of the fan favorite characters from the anime who wasn't yet in the manga. So it was a cool, it's always going to be a cool moment to see her here, and it's, we don't get too much on her, but, just the fact that they know her. And they kind of explain here that she didn't take the tuning exams because she chose to go into kind of research after leaving the academy. So that explains that she still is skilled in that. I suppose the reveal during her arc in the anime was that she's kind of surprisingly skilled compared to even a lot of the other characters. So if she's forced ever into a fight, like, you sort of know she can handle herself. She's just aiming in a slightly different direction here. So good use of her. They all still refer to her as class president, even though they're kind of out of the academy here, and she's working here in the research laboratory. We also get introduced to a new Inuzuka clan member, Akita Inuzuka, who I assume is one of Kiba's cousins, and she's working here at the laboratory as well. She got a very interesting character design. Of course, the dog kind of stuff emphasized here with kind of, she has like fang earrings. You get a slight sense of like some of her teeth kind of being like fangs as well. And then of course we get introduced to her ninja dog later on. But you get the idea that she is really enthusiastic about kind of ninja tech, and she and Sumire both really look up to Katasuke. I still struggle with the pronunciation on his name, but obviously the initial villain from the Boruto movie, who I think that's probably the highlight of this chapter, is that what they managed to do with him as a character, that they do manage to kind of turn things around for him, going from being like a very hateable character for what he did in the Boruto movie to actually being this really good character who's got amazing intentions and just supports everyone in the village with his science and tech. But anyway, from there we basically move on to the fact that just kind of escorting him to the laboratory wasn't the mission. The mission is actually to test out some of the ninja tools there, and you see that they're continuing with the story that Boruto is not particularly happy about using more ninja tech. We see him and Mitsuki kind of face off against Sarada, who's using the ninja tools, and she gets the advantage over them by using what's basically like a flashbang, like grenade, and that kind of gets her the victory in this kind of sparring match, showing you that these kind of tools are working. Other tools that we get are this kind of room that they're able to kind of just remove sound from. These kind of boots and kind of gloves that allow you to just kind of climb up walls without having to use chakra. Cool setup stuff, and if they, for when they ever really decide to actually like commit to using anything, you kind of see Boruto beginning to get on board with this stuff when he uses the gloves and boots and just walks up and down the wall without needing to use any chakra. We also see like a kind of glider type thing which doesn't have a lot of control. And they just have a little bit of fun with it. I think it is probably the section of the chapter that kind of wastes the most time, in that I felt you could have limited it to just maybe testing like one or two things rather than like testing about 4. Because it does ultimately just lead to the fact that, like, oh, Boruto kind of is now slightly on board with kind of ninja tool type stuff. We do get this idea that he kind of gets scratched after crashing on the kind of glider thing, and then they reveal that there is this what is it? There's also this new creation. It heals wounds by increasing your natural healing power. It will form a film there on your skin and close up your wound for you. So basically, kind of like healing spray. So that's a kind of cool little thing. And the result here is that we get this really interesting conversation between Sumire and Boruto, where he just asks her, do you trust Katasuke? And she just says that, yes, I trust him and respect him, both me and Akita. And he looks at the wall and he sees basically, Katasuke's kind of, I suppose, awards and kind of commendations that he's got. And his kind of quote is, science is the pursuit of all things. Scientists are those who engage this support. They also exist to support the lives of all people. And that is emphasized as the big thing that he always does, is that he supports people with the technology that he has. And that's emphasized here because this is where they choose to introduce Akita's dog here, whose name is Chamaru, Chamaru. And it's revealed that one of his back legs is gone, and it's been replaced with a kind of prosthesis that allows him to actually run around like normal, basically. She just explains the story that he lost one of his legs when he was injured on a mission, and it would have been basically fatal. It would have been the end of his kind of career as a ninja dog, and it would have been sad for him as an animal. And then Katasuke actually approached her and said that he can make the dog a leg so that he can continue to be a ninja dog. And it was the idea that this is what got her interested in kind of ninja technology and becoming his assistant, and that he just selflessly supported her and the dog by offering to help it out with a new leg. And it emphasizes again the idea that he supports people, and he saw that this dog, it would help the dog, it would help the Inuzuka clan to just have this dog still be active as a ninja dog. So cool way to just give a kind of an animal a bit of a story, Akita, the new character, a bit of a backstory as well, and also at the same time develop Katasuke as a character, and you just see how much he seems to like the dog as well. And we just get the idea that she says, people without strength or power, people that have lost something precious to them, the light of hope that can return smiles to their faces. I believe that's what science means to Sensei. So he obviously pursues science and advancing technology so that he can get to a point where he can kind of, fix things for people to help them when things go wrong, and that's what he kind of uses it for. And just the idea that it's even more about support, and he begins to understand that. We get a slightly interesting, scene here where Katasuke comes in, tosses Boruto this new weapon. He basically says it's dangerous, just activate it, and it's basically this chakra saber. It's basically a lightsaber using chakra. You have to just channel your chakra through it, and it basically just forces it into this blade. And he does reveal almost immediately that, okay, look, it's not very practical. It uses far, far, far too much chakra, but it is very powerful. And they just kind of drop it pretty much at that point. I assume it will come back at some point. I'm thinking maybe Boruto might bring it with him or something like that. It'll come into play as like a finishing blow in a fight or something like that. It seems pretty notable that they just show it off here and just abandon it. But this is the point where he kind of reveals, he says, that prosthetic, father's hand, it's the precious hand that will protect the village and everyone. I'm not really sure what they necessarily mean by that. Because is Katasuke responsible for Naruto's artificial arm at this point? Maybe they're referring to the arm that Naruto was using in the previous couple of chapters where he had the sparring match with Boruto, and it was more of the energy chakra absorbing hand. As I said, this is the weird thing about the title. Maybe I'm completely misinterpreting this, but the fact that Boruto, that goes into this after Boruto says something, clearly means it's talking about Naruto. And I like the core idea that kind of what really is bringing Naruto on board with Katasuke is that he can see that you supported my father by giving him this hand, and that hand allows kind of him to support the village. or else they're just like, it's in inverted commas, maybe it's just like that Katasuke is Naruto's hand because he supports everyone. A little lost on me there. I think it was just a bit like confusing as to what they necessarily meant with that. But he just kind of says, continue to do awesome work, and Katasuki's kind of happy that Boruto's kind of more on board with him now and seems to trust him and respect the, things that he does. Boruto then gets a phone call from Naruto, and this is, I suppose, the big plot point of this chapter, and it's that Boruto's team is actually the closest one to the border on where basically Konohamaru has gone missing, as well as his partner Mugino. And they don't have any status update on them, and it has to be Boruto's team who's the closest to kind of go out and check what's happening. So it's this big moment of Naruto just asking Boruto, you're there, I'm giving you this mission, can you do it? And of course Boruto and the team accept it, and he just officially has it, then Boruto, Sarada, Mitsuki, your current mission is currently suspended. Search for Konohamaru and his partner. And it's this really cool moment of he just gives him the kind of note, don't overdo it. If the threat seems large, wait for backup to arrive, grasp the situation, and calmly make the right decision to deal with it. And Boruto says, I understand, leave it to me. And he leaves it at that. So I like how Naruto handled this. He gave them the responsibility of doing this important mission to find what happened to Konohamaru, gave them the warning that because he knows it could be something huge, to just stay back if it is a huge threat. But we get afterwards with Shikamaru basically that Naruto's worried, but it's not necessarily about Boruto's team's power. He knows how strong the three of them are. The issue is that he's more worried about Kara and kind of what they're up against. And they have a bit of a discussion about just the fact of how don't we have any information about this airship and what was going on, and the idea that's revealed is just that it's this crazy thing that there is this group, organization, other nation out there that can build in private without any other nation knowing an airship that big, and any group that's capable of doing that has to be their enemy if they're keeping it secret like that. And so we end with again another look at the the coffin, basically the vessel, what it was stored in, back at the airship, and that Boruto and his team are going to go after this. We still don't know what happened to Konohamaru. We don't know what's going on with Ao from the previous chapter, but just that this is obviously where the two plots are going to intersect. Hopefully next chapter is the chapter where we finally get the Konohamaru fight and the Konohamaru focus we've been waiting for the last few chapters, because I think if there's been a problem recently, it's been this. It's been that they set this up for the last few chapters and we still have not seen what happened to Konohamaru, what's going on, and that's, I think, what everyone kind of wants to see. So I think now is probably the time to do it, because you can have that fight and then you can have Boruto's team arrive towards the end of the fight and and link everything together in that way. So that's the chapter. As I said, it's okay. I felt they wasted a little bit too much time focusing on some of the other ninja tools without any obvious setup for how they're going to use them. Just kind of, I suppose, setting up that what they're working on is kind of stuff that some higher level shinobi can do with their jutsu. Of we've seen characters who can manipulate sound in that way. We've seen characters be able to do this kind of flashbang explosion stuff, and so on. And technology is now getting to the point where kind of almost everyone can do it with the right technology, but it seems that for some things it's not quite there. Like the chakra saber thing, it requires a bit too much power and so on. The glider doesn't have the control that they need over it. So I like that. I think the Katasuke, kind of the switch with him of now you kind of respect him and Boruto respects him, was actually well done. I'm wondering if that's set up for more than just okay, we've kind of turned things around with him, or are they setting up something bigger that he'll do something later down the line, or is he just going to be our recurring character? Whenever we need to deal with technology, we go to him as kind of our tech Jonin type character. that could be interesting if we see him recurring, because him, and now having this kind of group with him as well, of you have an Akita Inuzuka there, who we sort of know now, and then Sumire, who has a connection to most of our characters. It feels like you have a nice kind of group of characters there who our main characters are connected to, so that kind of, I think, helps things on that side of the story. But for sure, it was very much a setup chapter of just, there's going to be more of a technology, Boruto's getting okay with it, he's fixed things up with Katasuke, and now they're on their mission to do that. That's the basic core of this chapter, and the question, of course, is, was it worth waiting a month for that, and is it worth waiting a month for what's going to happen next, or should much more have happened in this chapter? So that's why I say it's only an okay chapter and not anything particularly amazing. But, you know, I enjoyed, you know, Sumire coming back, the introduction of Akita was nice. They've done some okay stuff here. So going to end the review there. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this chapter, as well as what I had to say about it. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.